Welcome to another episode of Sistren. Today I am joined by Bessie Akuba. Bessie is an award-winning artist, photographer, creative strategist whose work sits at the intersection of storytelling, culture, and identity. Thank you so much for joining me today. This, of course, has been in the making. I got to say about a lot of my conversations. When I was thinking of starting this podcast and I was thinking of people that I wanted to talk to, you were definitely right up on the list from the beginning. So, how are you?
I am fantastic. And I'm so happy to be here, to sit here and speak with you and talk with you, because you're right. It has been years
Yeah.
in the making of us just sitting together and talking.
The first time we met was when you were doing a project with women, a photography project with women. I was at the magazine then. And I remember coming in and not being like very confident about taking pictures at that point. Even though I was working at the magazine and I was in photo shoots with everybody else, always taking pictures, I felt so self-conscious. And I always think the sign of a good photographer is when when the photographer can make you feel comfortable in the shoot. And I felt comfortable and there were other people there. And that's rare because when I take my own pictures for my blog, it takes me a while to warm myself up and I'm the only one there. Is that normal?
I think that's normal.
Okay.
So when I
good.
do my selfies or my little self-portraits, it takes me forever. Then I
Really?
start getting hot. I'll start
Yeah.
sweating. I'm like, you know what? I need to get somebody else to do this.
I need some tips for that because even when nobody's out there, I'm just like, Cateress, get it together, get done, and get in the house, especially when it's like this with all this pollen outside. But I'm glad to hear from a photographer that it's not just
Cateress, you do such a wonderful job. I've been
Bessie.
seeing your pictures for years. I'm
Bessie.
like,
You know how it is with photography when you take like 1,000 pictures and then
Yeah.
you get the ones that work.
Yeah.
I just cleaned off my phone because I had so many pictures on my phone because I take pictures with my phone, which also I need some insight about that.
Okay.
I take my blog pics with my phone and it had taken up all of my memory. But anyway, I really wanted to have you here today to talk about your creative journey. But first and foremost, to talk about this whirlwind you're on right now with Our Kind of Women. Talk a little bit about your project.
Well, Our Kind of Women is a project that kind of started out. I was in a place of just feeling disenchanted as an artist, as a woman, as a mother, just as a person. I just felt disenchanted with everything. I felt like everything I tried to do over the years. Here I am at 45, 46 now, and I've tried to do so many things, but nothing just launched. Everything seemed like it was like a failure to launch. I kept getting rejected for grants. My proposals were getting rejected. And so I said to myself, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to photograph about 30 women who I feel like are just like me. Either I have been witnessing them from afar, and just their journeys like we've been connected virtually for ages, and we've just watched each other just go through just life changes and pivoting and adjusting. And so I'm going to photograph 30 women. And I'm going to ask them one question about womanhood and what it means to them. And I think once I got to like the 12th woman that I was photographing, and these are all Black women over the age of 40, I just kept getting downloads that this is not going to be 30 women.
Yeah.
This is going to be more than that, Bessie, because the response was just unbelievable. So I brought that number up to 50. I said, I'm going to do 50. And after a while, I said, okay, my goal is 100 Black women over 40 who are redefining what it means to be in their prime, age 40 to 75. I think our oldest participant is 76.
Okay.
76 years old. And it came to 100 women, but now in the book, there will be 108 because the number just keeps growing.
Oh, you know what? I saw, like, I knew you were coming up to 100, and then I saw some more women coming on, and I was like, I wonder if I missed some people, but yeah.
It's amazing. So it's going to be a coffee table book, which will be, the pre-sales are happening right now, but the coffee table book itself, the hard copies will be available in September. We had our pop-up exhibit on International Women's Day, which is phenomenal.
I'm so sad I missed. I mean, I love London. I'm happy I was in London, but I'm so sad I missed. It looked like it was so beautiful.
Because the amount of feedback that I've been getting, the pop-up exhibit deserves to be traveling. And that is the goal, to take it to different cities where the women were photographed.
That's so exciting.
To do another event in Atlanta, just for people to see the images in person and to meet me and to talk with the other women and to hear the the messages that are going to be in the book, my reflections on being influenced by other Black women in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s.
Oh, I love those posts on social media when you do the influence post. I feel like all of them resonate with me because so many of the icons that you highlight are people that I love and the music I love and the artists I love and the creatives. So when you were conceptualizing this, like what was the impetus of this thought? Like what inspired this? Like you said, you had other projects and you felt like you had like multiple failures to launch, but how did you come up with this concept?
Through conversations. So there's several themes that are aligned with the project itself.
Mhm.
So one of the things are the influences. What has created what are we standing on as Black women? What has influenced us? And it was a conversation, several conversations that I've had with girlfriends. One of them, I had asked one of my girlfriends, so what do you think it was in the 80s that kind of jolted you or inspired you to become an older, to grow into your womanhood as a
Mhm.
child? What made you feel like a woman or to be seen? And one of the responses she gave was when she watched Whoopi Goldberg do her one woman show
Oh.
with the t-shirt tied around her head,
Mhm.
and she was just waving it around as if she had long hair. And she said when she saw Whoopi do that, it allowed her to feel seen because she also did that
Mhm.
as a little Black girl in the mirror. And to see a Black woman hold her own on that stage, it inspired her to be an actor, to be herself, to be unique in her own beauty.
Mhm.
Another influence I received from someone, which is also something that someone who influenced me, was Anita Hill.
Mhm.
One of the women I photographed, actually, she said Anita Hill, when she saw Anita Hill on trial and she saw how America responded to her,
Mhm.
it allowed for her to start preparing for what was to come as a Black woman.
Wow.
Right.
I remember, as a girl, like, the first time I ever saw Oprah Winfrey, I thought, "I'm gonna be doing that
Mhm.
one day."
Mhm.
And f I was probably in my mid-teens. I can't remember how old I was when her show came out, but I over the years, I've felt like, what happened to that girl? Because I was a force to be reckoned with in my teens. And I often say I'm the same girl as I was then, but something impacted my voice to be like lower and lower and lower. And I just started to really put all of the emphasis in my writing. And so this was so important for me, this launch of this podcast, because I was like, I'm getting my voice back. I'm getting my confidence back.
Yeah.
And so when you asked me to be a part of your project and I came to the studio that day, I remember I was so nervous because I was like, am I going to have to talk? Like, is this going to be, video taped? But I was so impacted, when I came in and whatever we talked about just in the first couple of minutes, you literally brought me down, like brought my nerves down. And I thought, this has got to be so amazing for you to be experiencing behind the camera because I just imagine how much is being poured into you, while you're pouring. And we often, this is something I talked about in an earlier conversation, we don't often get back what we give out. And so I was thinking, wow, what an amazing project for you to be getting so much back in while you're, pouring out. So what surprised you the most in this journey?
So many things. Um, I've always known the power of sisterhood, but not like I know it now.
Hmm.
Um, Out of the 108 women in Atlanta, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, out of the 108 women, I can't tell you one woman where it just didn't feel comfortable.
Hmm.
Every single woman came in there and mothered me.
Hmm.
Every last one of them, without knowing.
Yeah.
It was just a natural, organic thing, and that we are all mothering each other in
Hmm.
sisterhood, whether we realize
Hmm.
it or not. That is one thing that really has stayed with me. How I guess, in a sense, I was the mother of the project,
Hmm.
ushering you all in, but y'all all poured into me and mothered me in ways that you will never realize.
Hmm.
Even if it was a 15-minute session, those moments were just so powerful and so thick with just richness
Hmm.
of just whatever energy we exchanged at that time. So being mothered, and I think that also goes to how we show up in friendships and in
That's
sisterhood.
right. This is a recurring theme in my interviews, this talking and testifying, and how important it is for Black women to talk about what they've been through, but also to speak life into each other. And it was, when the election season was happening and we started to hear about the 92%, even though it was a time of great disappointment and we felt so disillusioned in that moment, it was also empowering to know 92% of us thought the same thing.
That's right.
And we're always the ones who have the right idea, the forethought, the foresight, and the greater good in mind. And we're often silenced. And so to be a part of a project like this, or to just know that you were in spaces where women were coming into the studio and pouring into you, not necessarily, and like you said, mothering you, not coming in thinking they were mothering you, but their words were probably healing you and lifting you up and answering questions that you had that you never, probably didn't even know you had some of those questions.
Right. And it was the range of Black womanhood. None of the Black women were the same.
Yeah.
None of them. But what was very similar is how we were influenced growing up,
Right. We're
regardless
not
of
a
the age.
monolith,
Yeah.
but we have a thread that runs
Yeah.
through Black women. And like I said in the studio, um, if you can't if you can't see yourself in every other Black woman, you are not reconciled yet.
That's
Like you've
right.
got to be able to find yourself, a piece of yourself in every other Black woman,
That's
every
right.
other Black woman.
That's right.
Where did that title come from?
I was inspired by the book, Our Kind of People. And I didn't want to just focus too much on class, so to speak. I wanted to focus more on just the thing that's unseen in Black women, but we kind of see it in each other. So our kind of women are women who are showing up for other women, women who are showing up for themselves, regardless of the challenges that they face in life. They take a lick and keep on ticking. They keep moving. We keep showing up. We may be down for a little bit, but we pivot regardless of how late it is. And those are my kind of women, just salt of the earth women. Even though some of these women are operating at the highest levels of their careers, but when we sit down in that studio, we were all the same.
Yeah.
We were all the same.
I think often about how we see projects like this and we're not a part of it, so we're watching from the outside and we think, oh, it looks like such a shiny veneer and it looks perfect. But what I love about this project is it feels so raw and it feels real and beautiful because it's not perfect.
It's
And there
not.
and there are people who are in process. There are people who have gotten to the point where they're looking back and saying, I am now or I'm getting to my mountaintop. And there are people who are saying, I'm looking towards my mountaintop. And there's something to pull from each one of them. What was the best piece of advice that you received as an entrepreneur or a photographer that has influenced you throughout your trajectory professionally?
The best piece of advice, and at first I was like, "Oh, okay," but is to just keep doing it. But I had reached several points in my life where I felt that I couldn't afford to just keep doing it because I'm not seeing anything coming from it. So with this particular project, it was a self-funded project, and I kept saying to myself, "How am I going to keep going? Because I'm losing money, and the thing keeps growing bigger than I could see for myself." But I just kept showing up with what I had, and again, when it comes to sisterhood and community, things kept coming my way to help me, whether it was an introduction, whether it was, "Oh, I got that for you. I'll take care of this," and putting everything together. And then um, speaking of that, is where the sponsor, the Do, the care brand came in. And that was from a previous relationship that Maya and I had a friendship. I was her client several years ago in Germany.
Yeah.
And so it was just like a full circle, having her having the Do be the official presenting sponsor for the Our Kind of Women pop up. So I had to just keep showing up.
Do you have mentors in the field?
Right now, I do not have in-person mentors, but there are women and people that I've just been witnessing from afar that have inspired me greatly, that continue to inspire me.
I know what I was thinking about when you were talking, the thought came to me one time. I felt like God was unctioning me to do something, and I kept thinking, there's no provision here to do it. And he kept saying, only be strong and courageous. Like I was feeling a pull to do the thing, but I didn't see the resources to do it. But I was praying one day and I was like, what does this mean? I don't know what it means to be courageous. I'm always thinking I'm strong, but what does it mean to be courageous? He said, just start. And that's what you did in this project. You just started. And when you started, then he sent the provision. Because like you said, it's coming out of pocket and that's not endless. And we know a lot of times he would just say, just get a sponsor. It's easier said than done.
It is easier said than done.
Yeah. But starting out,
yeah,
the provision came as you were going.
Right.
Yeah.
Every step of the way.
What role do you think you play as a mentor? Like what foresight do you offer? Do you have mentees? Do you have young photographers or advice that you give to young creatives?
The advice that I give to young creatives is listen to your intuition. Data and facts are good, but at the same time, listen to what's in here. Because sometimes, you know what we say, what God has for you is for you. I say that a lot because sometimes the data and the things that are written down, they work for a lot of other people, but it may not work for me. And my intuition has proven that several times over and over again. But the data does come in handy once I listen to my intuition first. So that's the advice that I always give. Listen to yourself. You have all the answers. God is downloading them into you for a reason. You have them. So go with you first.
How long did it take you to get to listening to your intuition?
Time. It took a while. In my 20s, I listened to everybody else. 20s and 30s, I listened to the experts and the thought leaders and myself. But now at 40, I'm like, no, because I've seen these movies too many times over and over again. I know what Bessie sees and what Bessie's feeling, so we're going to go with what Bessie has. And it's never, ever led me wrong, ever.
How long have you been doing this? How long have you been a creative?
I've been doing this since I was about 26.
Okay.
So 20 years.
We're all hitting that mark where I was just thinking that like earlier today, I'm coming up on the 30-year mark as a writer. I'm like, what?
Wow.
What?
But as Bevy Smith says, it gets greater later.
Yes. And I actually feel so good, like I'm feeling stronger in it. Like you said, like trusting my own track record. At work, at our staff retreat, they asked what was going to be our theme for 2026. It's at the end of 2025. And I said, I'm going to trust my own track record. Because one time this past year, I was like fretting about something and I was in a conversation with my uncle. He said, how often have you failed at a thing? And I was like, what do you mean? He said, the pursuits, like the big pursuits that you launched out into. I said, not often. He said, then stop acting like you have a, past full of failure. Trust yourself, like bet on yourself out here. And a part of that is trusting my own tuition, my own intuition and my own feeling about a thing. I read one time that we are so good at beating down that still small voice, but that voice knows us.
Yes.
And it knows the path we should be going on based on what we want out of life. And we don't often trust it.
And you already have the evidence. The evidence there for you.
What legacy are you building?
That is such a great question. Because I've been talking to so many women about the legacy that they're building. And I haven't really taken the time to really think about mine in the fullness of it. But I think one of the legacies I'm building outside of what I'm doing for my children, and what I'm leaving for them that are not things that they can touch and hold, is through this book, Our Kind of Women, is my love for the depth that Black women bring. It's an anthology. It's a legacy of, it's showing the world that Black women are self-determining. They are expressive. They persevere. They are the algorithm. They are the standard. So it's a book that will live on after I'm gone and after my children are gone, for the next generation of women, just like our kind of people. That is good. So that's one of the legacies that I'm leaving.
What is your hope for the project? Like your greatest hope for the project?
My greatest hope for the project is to make it a film, make it an award-winning film that dives in deeper
Mhm.
um, to the lives and the stories of certain Black women
Mhm.
who are over 40 and have accomplished so much against all odds in society. But just shining a light, showing Black women in the best light possible with tenderness and care for their
Mhm.
stories.
Mhm.
That is my grand vision, whether it's a Black woman in Decatur or a Black woman in Ghana that works in a market, focusing on her story.
Do you feel like there was a certain thread that ran through?
Yeah. Um, the most common thread for everyone that I have photographed, and I know it will continue to be the common thread, is who we were as children, 9-year-old us.
Mhm.
And the age that always came up was 8, 9, 10. That period. So that is the common thread. Who were you? What was life like? What were your
Mhm.
ambitions? How did you feel waking up in the morning? What songs kept playing?
Yeah.
What TV shows? What women, Black women, did you see on television at that age that made you happy?
I wonder what that means because when I refer to myself the most often, I refer to my 10-year-old and 9-year-old self. And I think maybe that might have been when I felt like the most sure, not even the most sure, because how can you feel the most sure, but maybe sure without fear? Like you're too young yet to even have a fear of what being so audacious might mean or what someone might say or what it might cost you. Yeah, I think it's before the fear because that's also the time when you would just get on, if you were tall enough, any roller coaster.
Yes.
And then that started to fall off like around 17 or
Yeah.
18 when you started to be like, oh, that's too high.
Yeah. Your curiosity was at an all-time high. You were in awe, exploring different things,
Hmm.
learning different things. That's the first time I saw Diana Ross in Central Park. I was like, I want her hair. She looked like a Barbie.
Yeah.
Like, so just like that age, 9, 8, 9, and 10 is the common thread that women want to go back to, how that felt.
Yeah. I that resonates with me and I'm reflective of that now because I didn't think about that. I haven't seen every post, but in the posts that I've seen, there's always a little bit of a look back in reconciling whatever the response is to the question or the prompt that you ask. How did I get here? And and like you said, I really appreciate the tenderness in the way that the stories are being told by ourselves, like us telling our own stories. Because a lot of times, if you give the story to somebody and it gets synthesized down and it gets watered down, or other things get added to it, other artificials get added to it. And
Yeah.
one thing I remember you saying is, it's going to be a direct quote.
Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
to ask you this prompt and I'm going to print what you say. And that is powerful because we don't often get to speak up for ourselves,
That's
not
right.
Black women. And I'm so excited. I'm
Oh,
so excited to see this.
I cannot wait till
I'm so
y'all
excited.
have it in your hands and you flip through the pages.
Yeah.
Like the only words that are mine are my thoughts. Everything else, y'all stories are y'all
Mhm.
stories.
I heard someone say that we should ask God to show us something special about ourselves and the way that He made each one of us. It's something to think about, but I'm asking you in the moment, like top of mind, when you think about that, um, something special that God put in you that that you feel is very unique to you, what would you say?
Something special that God put into me. I would say He made me a very quiet fire.
Mm.
Um, he allowed me to always be cool
Mhm.
regardless of what's going on, to always be cool, but be sensitive about how other people are feeling and the journeys they may be carrying prior to coming to me. But he also created me with a little bit of fire in that there would be nothing stopping me from getting what I wanted,
Mhm.
or achieving, especially if it's something that he's put inside me. So he can trust me with that. But he made me like a little quiet fire.
I feel like that kind of describes photographers too, good photographers, because you don't want to put too much of yourself out there, but
Hmm.
you do need to have something that pulls self out of the other person, out of the subject.
Yeah.
And so, what is your technique for that? What do you like when you go into a space, when you go in your studio, say even for this project,
Mhm.
like how did you empty out? And you might not needed to empty out because this was good things coming in, but how did you prepare yourself to photograph such a large project, such a large body of people, so many different energies?
That is a great question. Um, Initially, I didn't think it would have an effect on me. So,
Mhm.
like, the first 5, 5 people, these were people I knew. I said, "Come on, girl, let's go to the
Yeah.
studio." But then I started encountering a lot of people that I didn't know. And so after the first few sessions, I said, "I need to pray over me and them and the outcome." And I just need God to meet us there in the studio.
Mhm.
And Catress, when I tell you that God met us there,
Mhm.
especially there were certain sessions I said, "Oh, God was our this is all God."
Mhm.
So prayer, covering all the participants in prayer and myself, before the sessions and after the sessions, driving to the sessions, I would be in prayer about the outcomes I want for that session and the finished project. And then after sessions, I would journal. But I would always go on a walk to
Mhm.
just kind of just shake
Yeah.
things off of me
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Walking, because you're right, that's a large mass of people. And looking back, I'm like, how did I do
Yeah.
that?
Are you introverted or
I'm
extroverted?
introverted.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you have to offload that stuff.
Mhm.
Oh my God, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
There's of course competition in every field, but creative work feels different because of the internet, the broadness of the internet now, and how the algorithm constantly brings down your stream, your peers,
Yeah.
and the competitors. And even if you don't consider them competitors, the likenesses. How do you avoid like creative creep? How do you avoid mission creep where you start to um reflect what you're seeing or feel tempted to reflect what you see
I
and
don't
come
look at a lot of photographer stuff,
yeah.
a lot, especially, like, doing the project. I didn't look at a lot of photographers' content, um, because 1 or 2 things would happen. Either I would think I'm getting influenced in a certain way, or I would see something and be like, "I know they're not trying to do" you
Yeah,
know? So,
yeah.
I just avoided all of that. Even to this day, like, I had a friend send me something in my DM. It was like, I guess, flattery, what is it? What is the statement?
Yeah, it's like imitation is
Right,
the highest form of flattery.
with a picture that looked like something from Our Kind of Women, and I said, "I don't wanna see that." So,
Mhm,
even now, I just try not to look. Um,
mhm.
right now, the only thing I would like to influence me is music, is music. That is it. Um, but I just try to avoid looking at it.
I'm like that just in general, with a lot. I love like style bloggers and just people that have good style, but I don't look at a lot of it because I want to be able to stay like true to myself,
Yeah.
which I've often thought, what does that mean? But I think it's just protecting my peace, protecting
Mhm.
my space, like staying true to myself and my own originality because ideas come to me and I want to make sure it's me. I was saying to somebody one time, if your dream is coming from the outside of you, it's not your dream.
Mm.
Your dream is coming from you. If it's,
Mhm.
your gift was born with you. So these things come out of you, not into you from
Right.
other people, from other influencers. If you could have a 30-second conversation with your younger self, what is one lesson you'd impart?
I would tell her to not be afraid to speak up.
Mhm,
Yeah, because I think my younger self, she spoke up a lot until she was about 11,
mhm,
then she just got kinda quiet. Um, and I think back at certain opportunities that I probably may have missed or people probably misunderstood me
mhm.
because I didn't speak up. So I would tell her to speak up and don't be afraid to speak up.
What is your dream project?
This one.
That is wonderful, and it is, it's very affirming because we often think things things just take off for people.
Yeah.
And you don't know how many failures to launch people have had. And even watching you, I would never think you had a failure to launch. Like, I'm watching you through your career. And of course, you get the edited version. When we're seeing people on Instagram, you're not getting their full life. You're just getting, snapshots here and there. I hate when people say you're only getting the good parts. You're getting what people want to share.
Right.
So I'm getting snapshots here and there, but I've been watching you and thinking Bessie is just doing her thing.
This one is my dream project because I can now see where I see why it took so long. I get it. It makes sense now.
So I wanted to ask you what's next, but I kind of feel like I know what's next from your earlier answers. I know you are filled to the brim with wisdom from all of the interviews you did and all of the photo sessions. What's one thing you heard during the session that shifted you?
And this, I kind of mentioned it a little bit on the Instagram page that us women, Black women, when we adorn ourselves, I always thought it was just me, that I always have a piece of my grandmother with me. Like this watch, it was my grandmother's favorite watch. A lot of women came in wearing something from a late loved one. And we use that to kind of arm ourselves and protect ourselves when we step out into the world. And that really, really resonated with me because, we are, when we step out, our ancestors are with us. So that is one thing that stays with me in how Black women show up in the world and how when we get dressed, we're not getting dressed just for us. There's some other people in our ear who are stepping outside with us. Whether it's a spouse, a mother, a father, a grandmother, cousin, auntie, they're with us. We carry them with us. We carry our ancestors with us. So that stayed
I
with
didn't
me.
even think about that, but you do. Like, I personally feel empowered if I have my grandmother's brooch on. Like, I wore a brooch to church yesterday, or if I'm referring to something about my grandmother or one of her sisters, it's kind of like they're with me. There, I'm being emboldened by that,
That's
and so
right.
I imagine that a lot of us did come
Yeah.
into the studio and reflect in a way that talked about the ancestors as well as what we're going through, because I feel like my story is my grandmother's story. I was talking to Ebony Janice in a earlier episode, and she said that she sees parts of herself now, or parts of things that she's doing that she knows. I imagine this is what the ancestors foresaw when they said my grandmother couldn't be out in the field, helping with the sharecropping. She needed to go to school, because they were thinking of me down the line. And I think, we all probably feel some level of that probably resonates with us to some degree, because I think often, if my grandmother saw me right now, if my grandfather saw me right now, they would be so proud. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. I cannot wait to see what is up next. I can't wait to come to one of the exhibits in another city, since I missed the one here in Atlanta. And I cannot wait until the coffee table book is on my coffee table.
Thank you so much for having me, Catrice, and for being a part of the project. I thank you so much.
Wow, this is truly a full circle moment, because I started with you in a women's photo project, and here we are.
Yeah.
What's next for us? No, I'm just joking. Thank you, Bessie.
You're welcome.
Follow me on all social media platforms. I'm just Catrice Mom. And also check out my website of sistren.com, and I'll see you next time.